Ocean blessings to each and every one of us. So, I am here to talk about understanding spirituality. Many people think spirituality is religion or maybe something outside of your body, but that is not the full truth. Spirituality is all about awareness. Spirituality is becoming aware of your thoughts. Spirituality is becoming aware of your actions. Spirituality is becoming aware of your emotions. Okay. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone now offending you, or cutting you off, and then you're someone that once you have an issue with somebody, you've scattered everywhere, like you've gotten angry, you don't even want to be with this person, you don't want to talk to this person again. And then, this is your pattern, this is what you keep doing, or this is what you keep experiencing. And then you just feel good riddance to bad rubbish. I mean, let that person fuck off. It's not in my business. You're just like that. But when you're a spiritual person, you begin to read pattern. That moment, you will take a pause and think about it that the first person did this thing to me. The second person did this same thing to me. Now this third person is doing the same to me. At that level, you're not getting angry anymore. You're taking a pause to think, why did this thing that this person did to me affect me this way? Why do people keep doing the same thing to me? You start to think about it. Why do this same thing happen to me? That moment you paused, hmm, that moment you pause to think about it, that is where spirituality begins. That is how you know you're a spiritual person. That is how you begin to perceive it that this thing is not ordinary. Because this same thing keeps happening to me over and over again. Why is this same thing happening to me? So I want you to understand, and I want to make it clear to you today that spirituality is not the same as religion. Because some people think if you go to church, or I'm somebody that goes to the mosque, or even going to a traditional home, doing going to church every Sunday or going to the mosque, not missing the prayers and doing the things that I need to do, then it means I am a spiritual person. You are not a spiritual person. Spirituality is all about awareness. You being aware of the things around you, not just casting and binding, praying for breakthrough, praying for success and all of that. It's about you being aware of who you truly are, what your emotions are, what your thoughts, what you think in your head is all about, your actions, how you react to things. Those are the things that spiritual people are aware of. Those are the things that spirituality represents in your life. So it's not about who carry Bible pass or who carry chaplets more. It's not about that. Two people can even be going to church, or one person can be going to church and the other person is not going, and that one going to church will still be confused, full of jealousy. You will see somebody that will be, you'll be like, this person, why is this woman so wicked? But every Sunday she does not miss church. Oh, she's always going to church, and then she'll be claiming that she's a spiritual person. She's not a spiritual person, she's just a religious person. Spirituality does not follow a timetable, or this is how we are supposed to be doing things and this is how we are not supposed to be doing things. It's about you knowing yourself, knowing when to fight, knowing when not to fight, knowing when to talk, knowing when not to talk, knowing when to observe things and know when to do things about, not just observing, but knowing when to do the right thing at the right time. Okay. So two people can pray every day. Two people can be praying every day. One will have jealousy in their heart, the other person will just be calm. That's why some people will tell you that even when I left church and I've been on my own, I understood myself, I've been doing my prayers, things have been working for me more than me, even when I was going to church. Because some people are just like, because everybody is going, let us go. You're not a spiritual person. It doesn't make you a spiritual person. Hmm? So awareness is the difference between religion and spirituality. Awareness is the difference between you that you're a spiritual person and someone that is just there, not understanding themselves or what is going on with life. Hmm? So spirituality is understanding yourself, why you act the way you act, like I said before, why you do some certain things, why you ask questions. It is after you become a spiritual person, awareness will come. And after awareness comes, awakening will come for you. That is why you cannot force someone to wake up until the person begin to understand themselves and realize some things, that there are ways that things need to be done, or there are ways to life. You cannot push someone into awakening if the person is not spiritual enough, if the person is not aware of what is going on around them. Hmm? So when you attract the same person in a relationship, it's just like when you're in a relationship, you attract the same person. You're somebody that this same set of people keep coming to your life. Before, you would get angry and be like, oh, you're tired of your life, this, that, and all of that. You want to give up, you're just tired, you just don't understand. But when you become a spiritual person, you begin to understand and not blame those people. You begin to ask questions, you begin to seek for solution, you begin to seek for ways to make amendments so that things will begin to work for you, not just relationship and in other aspects of your life. But you're someone that noticed that, and what's happened in my family, nobody has ever driven a car. Nobody has ever built a house. Nobody has ever traveled abroad. You become aware of yourself. You begin to see things the way they're going. Like, this is not how things are supposed to go. Let me begin to seek for solution. Let me begin to do spiritual work and do things for myself, so that things will begin to go, in a very good way for me. Not just going to church or going to mosque or going to different places to cast my mind to, be against some ancestral spirits that are not even disturbing you. You're beginning to understand that there's a pattern in my life that I need to change. There are ways that I need to find solutions for. You're becoming spiritual enough to understand that life is deep. So spirituality is about growth. You need to grow. When you become a spiritual person, you begin to grow. You begin to understand things. That's why I said, when you begin to grow, that is when awakening happens to you. A full awakening. You are beginning to see things differently from what others see. You're beginning to understand life from what others see. Gradually, you're growing, you're becoming something. It's not something that you can change overnight. It's something that happens to you when you're aware of yourself. Okay. You begin to do spiritual work, you begin to take things step by step, understand how life goes. Before you get angry, you think about it. Is this thing worth my anger? You begin to understand things. You take a pause to understand things that are going on in your life. So don't forget that sometimes we are all humans. Hmm? We are all humans. Not everything, although not everything is spiritual in your life. We are all humans. Sometimes we need to balance life. We need to work, do the normal things that, everyday life, you need to do things that people do. You need to understand that some things are just, inevitable. Some things are just meant to be. But I just want you to know today that spirituality is all about your awareness. We are still going to go to awakening. We're going to talk about awakening, but I need you to know that spirituality is all about your awareness. You becoming, aware of things around you, knowing yourself better, and getting to know the kind of person you are. And I'll stop here today, and probably we'll talk about awakening, so you'll have a better understanding when it happens to you.